Hello, dear friends, can you hear me? Hello, dear friends.
You there? Good afternoon, everyone.
Recording in progress.
Okay, dear friend, sorry for the inconvenience because we got some technical problem there. So now it's okay. So we will continue with our first presentation today. And in this session, we are very delighted to invite Professor Zhao to join us. And Professor Zhao is the professor level senior engineer.
Okay, ขึ้นไปหน่อย
Engineering design. In the engineering design for many hydropower projects. Moreover, it has been involved in the research of the soft subjects such as the standards, norms of small hydropower, etc. And also, Professor Zhao is the chief editor of HRC's magazine named SHP News, with both Chinese and English version. And today, he will give us a presentation entitled Small Hydropower and Electrification in China, a survey and sustainable future. Hope you will enjoy it. So let's welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Tang. It's my pleasure to and the honor to have the chance to have this lecture this afternoon. My PPT's name is Small Hydropower and Electrification in China, Survey and Sustainable in Future. Outline. One is background, then I introduce the status quo of small hydropower in China and the major success of small hydropower development in China, and some small hydropower mechanism and initiative policy in China, and its technical features and the challenges we are facing currently and for sustainable development. And then I give some outlook for sustainable future. Then give some conclusion and we can discuss. So for small hydropower, we usually say small hydropower is from water to wine. So this background photo shows a typical layout of small hydropower. There is a powerhouse, the penstocks, and the switch and substations. And in this section, I will introduce what is small hydropower and what we should develop in, and why should we develop small hydropower, and the world's demand for electricity, and classification and type of hydropower schemes, and definitions, and its developing history in all of small hydro in China, and especially the rural electrification in China and global. So basically, the concept of rural electrification is linked to the electricity supply to areas out of cities. It means to the rural communities. The rural communication generally includes three aspects of the meaning. One is the rate of the electricity access. The rate means a percent of. Then electricity consumption for one household, and then power support for economic growth. So these three meanings, three aspects of the meaning is the rural electrification. So rural electrification is a process of bringing electricity to rural communities, rural areas. According to the international discuss and the understanding of agencies such as the World Bank, the concept of rural electrification doesn't not only refer to the strictly rural areas as defined in the country states, but also to include small to middle-sized towns, which were service center for the surrounding rural areas with appealing regions. So that's typical layout for electricity access and illustrative technology. Some applications from small hydro, some from wind power, some from coal, some from photovoltaics. Then the pico solar or off grid, then mini grid, then to the grid, national grid or local grid. So the availability of electricity for use in rural communities regarding the form of generation, that's from the energy access outlook from IEA. So there are different channels for electrification. Small hydropower or small hydropower is just one of many. Transforming our world. As we know, the United Nations have a sustainable development goals of 17 goals. With SDG 7 is issue access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. SDG 13 take urgent action to combat climate change and its effects. So we can understand the SDG 7 still so much 850 million people in the world today have no access to electricity, and roughly 3 times the number used dirty cooking fuels. So that's the agenda for 2030 from the UN. This shows the population relying on solid biomass for cooking in Africa. The yellow is the population still relying on biomass for cooking. So the energy use and quality is have a tight relation for rural electrification, for development, for poverty reduction and economic growth, then for prosperity. So more than half of the populations rely on solid biomass for cooking in all but 12 countries in sub-Saharan Africa. That's millions of people without electricity, and millions of people rely on biomass too. So the yellow one, IEA analysis. That's from the at the end of 2016, also in Africa. So lot of people without electricity. So here shows as the end of 2020, the number has dropped to 0.8 billion, but still 96 countries are still not accessible to electricity from absolutely. That's from IEA and and WB, World Bank report. That's from also from IES. So you can find here East China. Actually, in China, by the end of 2015, China's electrification rate is absolutely reached. That's the electricity rate. That's the people population. So if you have interesting for this world demand for electricity, you can visit this website, www Small Hydro World Organization, electricity rate by countries. It's the World Small Hydropower Development Report. Every 3 years, a report we published. The report will be published by the International Center for Small Hydropower, also in another center. So that's classification of type of hydropower schemes. Usually, if you by the waterhead size, if the waterhead is larger than 100, we call it high head. For medium head is 30 meters, between 30 meters and 100 meters. If less than 30 meters is we call the low pay. And another classification by operation, run of river schemes. Then one is run of river scheme, then another is reservoir scheme or storage scheme, usually have a reservoir. The third is pump storage scheme, usually have two reservoirs, up reservoir and the lower reservoir. So usually single or multi-purpose schemes classification by the purpose with flood control, with drought mitigation or irrigation, water supply, improved scheme. Oh, that's from the water banks. Classification by size, capacity size. If you get by the capacity size, micro is less than 0.1 megawatt. For small, is less than 10 megawatt. For China or Canada, and 50 megawatt, we call it small hydro. For the medium, that's large, that's the band. So different countries have different definitions. There is no used definition for small hydropower that worldwide. History, the evolution, and usually from the very beginning of the 1950s, the installed capacity less than 0. Megawatt. And 1983, 86 to 1995, 25. Now we 50s. So that's the development or the erosion of the small hydropower definition in China. In different periods, we have different definitions. Here, this table shows the definition, the evolution, and the classification of small hydropower in China standard, technical standard. So usually in China, still we have 5 groups of hydropower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Class 4 and class 5 usually requires less engineering works and that if two small size 1 and small size 2 hydropower. So classify 4, classify 5 are small hydropower. So that's the periods. That's the name of the code of the hydropower technical standards. That's which year received the year. So you can find it. That's we developed. It's changed. Globally, in worldwide, from the small hydropower report in 2019, the updated version global overview here. That's the global small hydropower potentials globally. That's also the globally. You can, I just shoot. You can download from this website, small hydropower. So small hydropower is a clean, renewable, and sustainable low energy source with obvious advantages. What's the advantages? What kind of advantages? One, it meets requirements of hydropower development and sustainable economic development in harmony with environment protection. 2, replace firewood with electricity to promote cleaner rural energy structure. The third is focusing on rural electrification construction combined with comprehensive management of small watersheds can improve the rural ecological environment. Then the public elevation has provided a new impetus for the development of small hydro. And that's so kind of advantage are already classified or have success experience practice in China. Another one, small hydropower is a renewable, decentralized, simple, and well-developed technology that's easy to understand. Another one is most cost-effective energy. So small hydropower have long operating life span, usually 30 to 50 years. It can be extended to more than 100 years with some big applications. So it's usually roughly 5 times of the average lifespan of the renewable generators, such as wind and solar, compared with wind and solar. So that's this box lifespan of small hydro is from a report from the World Bank. So you can find here for turbine runners, usually 10 years lifelong. For control and protection system, remote control, SCADA communication equipment, metering, usually 20 years lifespan. For medium high voltage switch gear, 30 years. 40 years from the main generating equipment, turbine generate equipment, 40 years. 70 years, you can find transmission line, pen stop, gates, stop locks, church legs. That's all can 70 years long. So here, show some examples from the Hydropower magazine, Hydro Review. We called the Hall of Fame of Hydro. Passed at the end of 2019. That was the first one. Vacant Street Hydropower Central Station. That's capacity. That's owner in the USA. In the Wisconsin, in United States, year of service. In 1882, put into service first, and inducted to the Hall of Fame in this year, 1996. So that's the list of the name of the hydropower station's name, capacity, owner, in which country, in which year. Still, all these stations are still running. They operate now. That's another. That's another. You can find here. 29. Magic. In Croatia, I will introduce that. So in this Hall of the Fame, the heritage, all these stations already become a heritage, and all are still operating. That's enough to prove the sustainability, economic, and environment protection of hydropower projects worldwide. That's the first. What is the first hydropower station begin its operation on the Fox River in our province, Wisconsin, USA, in September 30, 1882. So that's the first station in the world can record it and still running. I once visited this site So although opinions differ, but this station accept that the upper Midwest of the USA is the birthplace of the modern hydropower. We can say that's the upper. That's another one. San Antonio in hydropower station in downtown Minneapolis, also in the west part of the USA. Minnesota state, the Mississippi River, it's still operating now. That's powerhouse. That's in the winter. So this one is a Miyajika powerhouse. Miyajika powerhouse, you can find it really beautiful. That's stock capacity. Include here the older beauty, we call older beauty still at the full power constantly since 1906. So really long history. That's another one. Also in US, Horton Dam. That's Horton Dam and the powerhouse still running, still working well. In China, we also have a very long history and small hydropower history. The biggest, the earliest, the first hydropower station in China is Shilongba in Yunnan province. Here, this means in Chinese character is 中国第一个水电站 in Shilongba, still operating now. That's in China's examples. So have a long lifespan for hydropower, not only in China, also in other countries. Yes, I choose the examples. And also, small hydropower is the most effective energy. Is a reliable and economic source of energy. Usually, extremely low operating costs for operating and maintenance costs incurred in any small hydropower is seldom over 2 to 3% of the overall capital cost. The result is extremely competitive production cost for electricity. The most effective type of new hydropower development available in the developed countries, for example, US, the EU, because it's typically used existing infrastructure, including existing low power dams, canals, and pipelines. Just in the USA, they're not developed new hydropower, but they are rehabilitated for the non-power dams, the existing no power dams. They do the rehabilitation to install new hydropower units. To compare with other renewable energy, small hydropower has a low invest cost. So the latter one, small hydro, usually internationally 1 kilowatt is 800 to 6,000 kilowatt US dollars in Chinese yuan. Internationally, for the generation costs, to compare with large hydro, with wind power, with photovoltaics. Another advantage is small hydropower is a flexible and ease in operation. It's good for frequency and peak regulation. It is coordination with other renewable energy, flex down or restoration. Here, choose the first in the world in Cariana Islands in Spain is a wind hydropower hybrid plant. The wind power installed hydropower installed capacity pump diesel to different source of the generation hybrid. So in China, we also already have such kind of hybrid plant. Another one we call black start. It's easy. Emergency power supply. Here shows example in 2008 May.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
In Wenchang earthquake in China. At that time, power shortage, power down. But the small hydropower can quickly go from zero power to maximum output in earthquake and another disaster. Another one is multi-purpose, various benefits of flood control, irrigation, water supply, and river regulation, fish and wildlife protection, beneficial for rural electrification and rural economic development. Then is high energy payback ratio. Compare with another kind of renewable energy. Hydropower run of the river type. Most small hydropower is run of river type. That's the energy payback ratio. That's the letter one. Then hydropower reservoir type. Usually is the middle and large hydropower payback ratio. So compare with, you can find the payback ratio is low or is higher compared with other wind power, photovoltaic nuclear, and conventional thermal stations. That's the background. Second, I briefly introduce the state pool of small hydropower. So, what is the power sector in China? How is the small hydropower resource in China? What's the development of how to develop small hydropower in China? So, hydropower and small hydropower resource in China, you can find here. The exploitable resource of hydropower, totally hydropower in China is 541.6 gigawatt, in which small hydropower is 128 gigawatt. That's if to the installed capacity less than 50 megawatts. If less than 10 megawatts, the small hydropower potential is 63.5 gigawatt. That's the power grids in China. State grids, we have state grids, regional grids, provincial grids, and local grids. Usually local grids is for small hydropower. One is Dongbei MEG, Northeast China grids, North China grids. Just like Hangzhou, we here in Middle China, East China grid. So that's the power grids in China. That's province ECG, SH Shanghai, JS Jiangsu, ZJ Zhejiang, AH Anhui, FJ Fujian. So that's five provinces belong to East China. We have two national grids. One is called state grids, then China Southern Power Grids. That's the State Grid Corporation of China. Another is China Southern Power Grids. Regional, include the regional here. That's the province. We also have 5 key state-owned power generation groups. One is 中国华人集团有限公司 China 华人 Group， 跟中国大厂 China 大厂，中国华电 China 华电 ，China Energy 中国国家能源、国家电力投资公司 State Power Investment Corporation。That's another 5 P state-owned, all state-owned. Also, the National Development and Reform Commission (NDRC) and the State Electricity Regulatory Commission, which are in 电力监管局 share the responsibility for regulation of the power sector of China. The NDRC's responsibility include investment, pricing, and the power plant approvals, with the SEC-RC is responsible for the design and the oversight of generation markets and the implementation of power sector reforms. The SERC also gives input to the NDRC on pricing and market reforms. The National Energy Administration is in charge of power sector. The State Grid Corporation and the Southern Grid Corporation are in charge of construction and the operation of the power network. That's the duty or the function of the different organizations and the authorities. By the end of 2020, that's a total power electricity within hydropower, nuclear, solar energy, thermal, wind power. That's the generations, hydropower, thermal, nuclear, wind power. You can find small, you can find hydro here. Hydro percent of about 80%. For generation, also 80%, in which small hydropower only 3.5%, for middle and large 14.5%. That's the installed capacity and the generation of China. Here shown during the period of the 1994 to 2019, the hydropower installed capacity increased and the production increased. As you know, 1949 is the first year of the People's Republic of China. It is a founding year. So usually we compare with from the very beginning to the latest. That's the installed capacity, that's the production. You here show the process chart of hydropower installed capacity growth in China. We divided into 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 phase, 4 stage. The first 50 years, just with the beginning, really tough. Then self innovation, 40 and 30 years, another 20 years here. Fast development, breakthrough, another 20 years. So here, choose the installed capacity and generation at the end of 2020, because the 2021 last year is still not officially published or opened for the community, for the public. Just to the end of 2020 is updated, a newest data. You can collect and search. That's the river basin or watershed, China. We have several many famous river basin. One is Changjiang River, Changjiang River, Huanghe River, Yellow River. So we have several main rivers, Waihe, Haihe, Liaohe. That's in Chinese river system. That's the precipitation distribution in China. You can find the blue and dark, very dark. This means precipitation is high, usually in the east and the southern China. So the Ministry of Water Resources is in charge of water resource. The average annual precipitation in China is 641.6 millimeters in total. That's also the rainfall. That's the exploitable resource of hydropower and small hydropower in China. You can find the cake, the red one, the blue one, 44.3. So most of potential is in the southwest China. That's by the river shapes. That's the distribution by the province. This Sichuan province is the first one. Yunnan is the second in the second top. That's the new any small hydropower implement during the year 2000 and 2007. That's the table list from the annual small hydropower implement. So you can find here in 2006 highest, very high. This year, this year 2009, 2020 slow down. Why? Later, when I will give you more detail, you will find why. In this year, 2005, 2006 will be very high, and 2020, 2009 now is low down. So that's the increment here. So for small hydropower, the ladder one is quality for small hydro. The blue is old hydropower to compare. So by the end of 2020, there are so much stations, 46 and 5 and 900 small hydropower stations distributed in so much counties in China with combined capacity so much, really large, really big, and any power output. That's another classification by the installed capacity group. 1, 2, 3. That's between. So that's also analyzed. Another analysis. So that's potential. Then we introduce the achievements. China's hydropower achievements. Usually we see small hydropower and its multi-purpose benefits in China. One is drive rural infrastructure development, then accelerate electrification in rural China, contributing to energy consumption, conservation and emission reduction, improve regional flood and drought control capacity, drive forward local and social and economic development, improving farmers' poverty alleviation. In China, we usually say that's 6 functions for small hydropower development and its benefits, multi-benefits. One is greenhouse gas emission reduction hydropower, not only small hydropower, also include small hydropower. Thus, this progress is China's, as you know, China, we usually have national level. We have a 5-year plan, micro plan. We call it 5-year plan. So starting from 1980s, especially in the 7th 5-year plan, during the period of 1983 to 1986 is the 7th 5-year. Then the 8th 5-year, 9th 5-year. So 3 Usually these 3-5 years we call the primary small hydropower based rural electrical county program launched nationwide. Another 5 years, the 10th 5 year, 11th 5 year, we called hydropower rural electrification program, and small hydropower replacing fuel wood. Hydropower utility design program. That's all the name. That's the name. The program name nationwide. Small hydropower emphasis and capacity expansion. So 5 years, then we have macro national plan. This national plan driving and continues rolling forward the country, the rural electrification in China, year by year. One 5 years plan, another 5 years plan. It continues to do. So the first phase in 1990s to 1970s, in that time, the small hydropower definition is less than 12.5 megawatt, and already changed 3 times. At that time, we called small hydropower is night pearl, is little sun, or like mountains, townships. At that time, just really poor, still really poor at that time, just for lighting. Is the electricity just for lightings? The second phase is from the 1980s to 1990s. We launched small hydropower based rural electrification program. At that time, power shortage very serious, and the definition is increased to 50 megawatt. Also, 3 times changed, because the installed capacity, the definition changed, rely on is the economical development levels. The third phase we call furthering rural electrification, deeper reform of small hydropower development, investment industry. We introduced the PPP model, public-private participation model. At that time, rapid development peak period. So previously you find in 2006 year, this year is the peak year for investment for the capacity run. So really the peak year. The fourth phase from 2011 to present, we launched small hydropower penetration, which what kind of four? One is harmonious small hydropower for living household improvement, small hydropower for green small hydropower for safety small hydropower. So we call it 4 small hydropower penetration. It's green small hydropower, ecological and IT technology used, transformation of small green development model of small hydropower, and as a small hydropower sustainability. At that time, at this period, we focus on pay more attention to green small hydropower, sustainable development. So in the letter, my colleague, another colleague, Dr. Tree, will give a detail to introduce the green small hydropower with another presentation. So that's the full phase or full stages small hydropower development in China. That's the first stage, the manufacturing, and that's the annual. Ten times compared with the 1960s. the second phase. That's the fourth phase. That's the distribution of small hydropower best country in 2009. So with the construction of I introduced three national program launched by the country. One is construction of small hydropower based rural electric program from 1985 to 2010. The history peak period at that time in 2009, we so much promise and so many countries small hydropower development, and so much counties we have the local power grids and usually power supply with the small hydropower. So at that time, historically, small rural electrification in various countries is usually implemented. Different countries usually implemented through three main channels. One is by extension of national grid. That's the first selection. The second, by small diesel generators or other small thermal power generation. Usually, many developing countries select this model. Another one is by development of decentralized local renewable energy source, including small hydropower. So far, the rural electrification rate in different developed countries is very high, uneven. So after we implemented this program, the central government launched the project of building up rural hydropower electrification countries in 1982, 83. That's preliminary hydropower electrification countries, totals. That's the rural electrification countries established from the 10th 5 years, during the 10th 5 years. So much countries we have reached, so much new rural electrification countries is being implemented with the 12th 5-year program. So that's step 2. We were really electric shoes. So many. That's the plan. Originally planned, actually completed. So compare with the original or overpassed. So the annual capital power consumption in 2011 in China will run to 1,025 kilowatt hour for one per capita for one household. And the standards for new rural electrification in the standard SL 30 is 800 kilowatts. If reached this standard, we call electrified. That's the key standard index increased from 200 kilowatt in 1980s, but in 2009, the standard lift to 800 kilowatt. So the standard with development with levels reached and lifted, the standards also changed to the high, compared with the previous. That's the example for the first phase. The main indicates for the first pilot preliminary rural electrification countries. House electricity power rate percent, annual power consumption percent. In standard is 90, but actually after rural electrification is 90.8. In standard is 209, but actually after rural electrification is 220 after the rural electrification. For 1 year, one person consumed the electricity kilowatt hours. That's for cooking. That's another indicate during these periods you can compare. That's another one. Also, in China, we once the rural the small hydropower supply areas reached to half of the national territories, and one third of China's counties, and 0.1 billion farmers population used. That's the rate of accessibility to electricity in 1980 and 2014 compare. We can compare from very low to very high. That's the first program. The second program we call the small hydropower replacing 5 wood program, starting from 2003 to 2015. At that time, at the beginning of this century, in 2000, in China, in rural area, the energy consumption totally, meaning this standard coal, for fuel, store, coal, electricity. That's that time. Then we launched the pilot. The first batch is 5 provinces: Sichuan, Yunnan, Guizhou, Anxi, Shanxi is the first pilot province with replacing 5 wood projects. We saw so much hassles for living, field, and the protected areas. That's the logo, the program logo. 国家小水业电能量公司 the logo. That's the compare between before the implementation and after implementation. Typically, illustration for benefits achieved for a farmer's household. That's in Guizhou province, southwest China. Usually 5 persons in a family burn 5 wood in summer and coal in winter. In the past, 5 persons usually one household, 5 persons, and 4 tons of coal was consumed for cooking and heating. It usually spend 640 Chinese yuan for 1 year. Now use the electricity for so much kilowatt hours per year from small hydropower to replace the coal, only spend so much Chinese yuan per yuan because for this, the price for Chinese electricity price is really low, and saving so much Chinese yuan for one household. Also can save the labor days for cutting woods. Let's compare before and after. Also compare. That's in northern China, with Jilin province. That's the second. Now, the third program we called Small Hydropower Emphasis and Capacity Expansion Program, starting from 2011 now. Why we launched so much this program? As you know, we have many small hydropower stations. We once do a research and survey by our center. There's so much installed capacity already operation for 30 years, for 20 years so much, for 10 years so much. They're all aged. And the efficiency of the units, the generator units, is low, very low. So if you built in 1960s, the average efficiency of the generator units is just like this. So you can find it not very high. Why have so much problem? One is poor performance and efficiency. Another one is unstable operation sum, because some of the hydraulic conditions change compared with the original, already changed. Then communications, then theater illusion of turbine runners, then uneconomical due to change of hydraulic conditions. Why we should upgrade the habitat? One is life extension, increase energy, elimination of cavitation, in environmental and friendly technology use. We have some new technology. So here should some old ages and really serious, really not unsafe. 5 years, so much stations, so much kilowatts are needed to operate, needed to rehabilitate. So that's the compare the first batch of the 6 pilot provinces: 浙江、重庆、湖北、河南、广西 and 陕西. That's capacity before, after, generation before, after, average efficiency before and after, period from these 2 years we do. Then the subsidy, the China government gave some subsidy for the eastern regions, 700 yuan per kilowatt. For the Middle East, middle regions, 100. For the West, 1,300 Chinese yuan. And less than half of the total investment for a single project, not large, just less than for the central financial. So that's some policies. We can here shoot the total number of the stations so much we during the first pilot 6 provinces. Capacity increase, generation increase, efficiency increase, province coverage. So much total funds from China for now. That's the achievements. Eco conservation, rivers, long, eco-flow installations. That's the performance evaluation after the program implemented. The first batch of the 6 pilot provinces, total of the stations, refurbishment station total. Installed capacity before and after, generation before after. In the second batch, in the 12th 5-year plan, during this 2011 and 2015 stations. That's another one. That's a total. We also, my center is really proud because this program is implemented. The microgrid is designed and do the research by HRC. Then I introduce some mechanism and initiative policies. That's the diagram of the decentralized administrative structures from the state council and state grid, state companies to the in charge of the Ministry of Water Resource, province level, county levels, Bureau of Water Resource, or some place called Small Hydropower Center, and integration with national grid. That's the compare. Participation by local government and the local people. In China, in central government, the central government orient usually give some strategies, just the or give some or do some of the standards, technical standards, which kind of standard we should reach them. And it's then planning, development, operation, management, and manufacturing. That's a China's experience. But other development countries usually minor participation, local people nothing involved. So it's really quite different. That's a very challenge for raising funds for small hydropower in 2012 year. That's the percentage. That's market ownership. Number of stations, number of percent of input capacity, annual output. State-owned, not state-owned. So here is a policy on development. The main policy, the major initiative policy supporting small hydropower. In 1960s to 70s, we have three CF, we call three CF policies: self-construction, self-management, and self-consumption on the local county levels. In 1980s, we raise electricity with electricity. Who invests small hydropower? Who benefits? We call it to raise electricity with electricity. In 1990s, proliferation policy on taxation and low subsidy and financial subsidy. That's the main policies. Three self policies: self-construction, self-management, self-consumption. What's the meaning? The three selves. Those who invest in small hydropower stations, who get the benefits from the stations? Just the self-construction. It means the funds needed for the construction of small hydropower in rural areas, which are mainly resolved by local self-raising, farmers fundraising, and labor investment. The state use long-term low-interest loans and other means provide appreciate subsidies and support. The profits of the small hydropower and the income from the sales of electricity to the national grid should not be used for other purpose. Implement to replace electricity with electricity. In China, we said, in Chinese said, 以电养电. Yeah, that's a self-consumption, self-management, self-consumption, the meaning. Actually, quickly, because time is limited. Then policies are investment loans to raise electricity with electricity here. That's from central government grants from this period so much to this program, small hydropower based rural electrification project for this from this period, or low interest loans for central government, usually 10 years. Another is policy on taxation. So we usually sales taxes, usually only 5% of the profit from small hydropower before 1994. Value added tax VAT 6% since 1994. For larger hydropower is high, 70%. But from July of the 2014 is only 3% decline. But for larger, still 5 to 12%. So that's the policy on taxation. Also, we have a law, the renewable energy law, for the People's Republic of China. This law and another regulation for the administration of affordable acquisition of renewable energy power generation support to guarantee the small hydropower generation should be offtake by the grid. So that's the policies. This part I introduced the main technical features. That's a dam total in China. Dam. Various kind of dam, very high dam to large dam. One is almost all type of small hydropower listed in the textbook you can find in China. With design head from very low 2 meters to very high, more than 1,000 meters. Dam type, earth type, stone masonry type, dam, concrete dam, rock fill dam, rock fill dam, rubber dam, and so on. Many type dam. Diversion type, powerhouse, penstocks, overlap, powerhouse elevations. So you can all can find in China. Just this intervention. This hydropower station designed by our center in the elevation of 4,020 meters, very high. But this is very low head, only 6.5 meters for the water head. Over this really high water head, more than 300 meters. In the Zhejiang province, you can find the plants very long, very hard. That's the highest head in Asia, also in China, in Guangxi, 1,074 meters, very high. That's a reservoir type small hydropower, reservoir type. Much staying type dam. Containerized small hydropower, containerized, just like container box. Dam type, concrete dam, stone masonry dam, rock fill dam, rubber dam, automatic shut dam. That's in case study in Longquan city, that's in Zhejiang province. Only in this city you can find many type of dam. That's all the examples. Very beautiful. Another one, is cost-effective, indigenous small hydropower technology and equipment production. Because just like not like some developing countries, we can all manufacture by ourselves, by China itself in China. So equipment cost accounts usually leads to 0.5% of total investment. Now China have more than 100 small hydropower equipment manufacturers. They adopt a unified design and joints as well as standardized spare parts in China. That's in China. Another is the models. We have some serious models from the applicable in the head of the water head from low to the high. That's covered the water turbine. That's connection with the power grid percent. That's automatic control system, SCADA system, spring energy storage system, operated some developed by our MyCenter HRC. China have accumulated rich experience in small hydropower electrification over the past 70 years. So we have some technical standards. Now we have 57, in which 16 is GB, 国家标准 national standard, and 31 is 水利行业标准 water sector standards. We have so much standards. Some is reached to, is translated to English version and published. Now is become national standards by the UNIDO, technical standard that we have on the base of Chinese standards. For sustainable development, what kind of problems, type obstacles we are facing now? Integration of the protection of restoration for maintenance, waters, forest, farmlands, and lakes. That's the new ideas, new concept we are carrying in recent 10 years by the French government, said by the Communist Party, Xi Jinping. One challenge is the internal factors. One is low firm power, high seasonal variation, small scale, not competitive with the larger hydropower plants. So that's the utilization hours from this from 2011 to 2018. So you can find the utilization hours not very high in 1 year. That's one. Another is extra factors compare with the new energy, just like wind power, photovoltaics. The average FIT of small hydropower on national grid or national grid, the price is really low. You can find really low. That's the average FIT in China in this year. Hydro, thermal, wind, solar, gas, nuclear, biomass, you can find. Most of are low down, because the technology is mutual, and the market is large. Through the growth, with the growth, all are low down. That's the research from the internationally compare the competitive advantage of small hydro, published in Nature, in the Journal of Natural Energy in Berkeley University, by the Berkeley University. You can find this this international research. So we have the problem. One is downstream flow reduction, then power supply compared with the peak period. Now the power supply, then safety accidents, conflict of interest. We have usually have this four main obstacles. Downstream flow reduction here. Downstream. Here shows a scheme representing a run-of river hydropower installation, usually for small hydropower like this, highlighting the key components present for both high and low head diversion scheme. Can find here, below here, then to the mile lead of pipe, then to the turbine, then terrace in the wire, between the wire and the downstream. Depleted scheme usually very low flow, very small flow. So we call it downstream flow reduction. That's another flow charge along the water course due to the transmission of small hydropower. Section A, B, C. Section C, especially section B, no less. That's what. Here shows some serious problem. Reduction of the cutoff reach of the river impacts of downstream river ecosystem and people in China. Impacts of water obstruction flow ellipse. River habitat connection destroyed. Connectivity is not good. We also have some problem, some measures to solve this problem. One is eco installation, just like this, eco flow release. Then use some engineering or non-engineering measures, just like where knowledge to sustain the waters to solve some problems here. So E-flow, it means environment flows. What's the E-flow? What's the meaning? From the UN, also from the United Nations, from Brisbane declarations. In this Brisbane declaration said the quantities, frequency, timing, and quality of water and sediment in the flows necessary to sustain fresh water and aware ecosystem and the human livelihoods and well-being that depend on this problem. So presently, E-flows is the main problem, tough problem we are faced with small hydropower sector. Here is from the WWF Fund, International Organization. This problem, E-flow problem, not only exists in China, in some countries also have. So that's another research. So what are outlook for the future? Sustainability. So China now we call is entering a new era. Mountains, rivers, forests, farmlands, lakes, and grassland as a whole, as a one life community. That's a new idea, new concept. We are doing 美丽中国, beautiful China. So that's the means what kind of we should consideration together, not only for generation, not only for irrigation, also for environment change. So optimize sand energy strategies to promote harmonious of ecosystem elements such as mountains, rivers, forests, farmlands, lakes, and grasslands, which integrate together. So emerging opportunities. China's energy consumption under the carbon emission peak and carbon neutrality net zero policy. We have 3.60 targets by the end of 2030 to 2030. That's the idea, new concept. Harmonious coexistence with mankind and nature. That's good. Chinese government wants to reach. So planning first, innovation, coordination, green, open, sharing. That's the 5 main ideas we should have refresh our ideas. Innovation, that means regarding ecological protection and restoration of rivers as the main targets. We should coordinate, optimize the layout of hydropower stations, focusing on comprehensive utilization of water resources. Green small hydropower oriented, restore river ecosystem by way of innovation, commission, and unification of small hydropower stations. Open, it means open, means extensive, introduce and adopt ecological technology and IT technology and smart hydropower. So now, recent years, we are consenting on the constructions called smart hydropower. Share the fruits of smart hydropower development with the local people, local government, and local communities, local more people. So we should not only the sector ourselves. Transforming or shift to green model, model of smart hydro. Integrate green concept into the project, smart hydropower project planning, construction, operation, and management stages or phases in different stages. We should have green ideas. Then achieve the win-win, triple wins, 3 wins, 1 economic. The second is environment. The third is society. Win-win-win, 3 wins. Ongoing. We are doing now. We call it small hydropower electrification program, starting from 2018 to now. We are doing in Yangtze River Belt. Yangtze River Belt is managed belt. So that's the Yangtze River Belt. The total station, small hydropower station number, the letter 1. That's all the China in Yangtze River Belt is the letter 1. Some province cities. So in Yangtze River basin, the YERD contributes over 40% of both of the population and GDP of China. And over the next 2 years, we are doing. One is program electrification. By the 4 ministries, we are launched this program. One is the permits then outside non-nature reserves area and inflow, requirement, reservation, innovation, evaluation, classification. Then once we call it 1 small hydropower, 1 solution. Then electrification, e-flow determination, e-flow facility should be built to supplement. Then e-flow monitoring for every hours. Then eco operation or eco installation, license and permits again. Then acceptance for review. So from the 2000 that's a platform, ongoing platform and activities for this program also developed by ourselves. Also, we have another one is still initiate projects for small hydropower based study, poverty elevation in areas of extremely poverty, especially in the West China. Then, for rural areas still have some poverty, still have to reach the overall objective for full small hydropower contribution. Harmony is small hydropower, livelihood small hydropower, green small hydropower, self small hydropower. That's the poverty line between the line give some subsidies, and there is some sharing, code sharings. So still another one is still we continue to carry out a new round of efficiency and capacity enhancement and project innovation for small hydro. That's a survey for existing innovation potential for small hydro also by our center. Before this year, we will still capacity number, station numbers 4% and 2%. So closing year is in last year 5 year, 16 5-year plan. We reached the end of it. Another is still change the safety regulation of small hydropower stations. Then enhance technology advancement in small hydropower. One is realize ecological dispatch for river flow. Ecological dispatch for river flow. Then realize optimized cascaded station. Cascaded because in a river low reach or up reach cascaded, some cascaded hydropower station should realize optimal dispatch. Then safe, reinforce safe production, unmanned control or less man controlled operation. We call it smart hydropower. For example, you can in your office you can control your stations in remote areas. So emergency opportunities, research and development and demonstration on what energy hybrid power generation system based on renewable energy. Integrate community energy solution. That's a new direction for hydropower further development with the wind power, with the photovoltaic power. That's the new direction we want to do. To the target by the year 2020, we already reached the target. The installed capacity reached to 81 gigawatt. We already reached. By the end of 2025, the only renewable energy, hydropower, wind plus solar plus MIMOS and others will reach to the capacity 2 and around 70%. The generation around 32%. That's target. At hydropower by the end of 2025. By the end of another 2035 or 2050, we have targets. generation, blue is generation. The green is total installed capacity. So in China, we have very clear objective in the future. What we want to do, what targets we want to reach. That's targets of small hydro by the end of 2030 and 2050. We can find this installed capacity. That's the percent of the potential reached we want to reach. So conclusion and discussion. So that's evolution of hydropower development process. At the very beginning, before the World War II, engineer enough just doing the design and build. After World War II, engineer is not enough. We should, together with economists, to design and build. But now, after 2000, planning of the river basin plus design, then plus EIA evaluation of impact of evaluation, environment impact evaluation, then build of the projects. So only engineer is not enough. Engineer, then together with economists, then environment expert, also together with stakeholders, with the NGOs. That's so review and conclusion of small hydro project in China. One is needs stimulate development. Needs stimulate development in China. We call the time of night per or little sum. Country-based decentralized management and mechanics. Pay equal attention to large small hydropower and middle small hydropower and with small hydropower. Pay attention to the market benefits of water, market benefits of water of small hydropower development. The beginning of the 6 benefits. Water-based rural electrification model. We have several batches of the rural electrification program nationwide. Policy-oriented development. Some from the nation, the central government's loans and taxi, privilege taxes, indigenous equipment manufacturers. We have many indigenous equipment manufacturing, more than 100 indigenous equipment. All the equipment you can manufacture by ourselves. And speed up productive use of small hydropower electricity. Multi-channel financing for different channels. Some from the government, some from the foreign countries, some from the province. Then program-oriented development by the government. Technology innovation, advancing with the times. In different times, different areas, we have different technology. Also have different technical standards. Just now, we focusing on smart small hydropower. So, still, we can say small hydropower is a relative historical development concept. It has different meaning in different historical periods, and the definition of the installed capacity from very low to 50 megawatt in different stages. Adhere to the direction of serving agriculture, rural areas, and farms. We call full combine rural hydropower contribution with economic development, river balancing, ecological protection, and poverty alleviation. The full combination, it means connect with the full aspects. The Chinese government electrification model in rural areas with scattered locations, local development, nearby grids, and power supply, and changing resource advantage into economic advantage, and green energy advantage, and broken through the long distance power transmission construction, relying on conventional power source. Full feeding pellets. Feeding pellets I already introduced in the detail. Then fifth is for development planning comes first. Usually planning first, then construction. 3. Self policies. Small hydropower have its own power supply areas. Who invests? Who benefits? 谁投资谁受益? Then is the low taxation policy. Local small hydropower companies implement very low VAT rate policy, which is lower than national 12% tax compared to very low. So China, the successful story for rural electrification and its past traveled in the past 70 plus years. So China's wisdom and China's approach is only just one of the successful model. Could it be adopted and of valuable reference option for other developing countries to solve their rural electrification? That's the key factor in China's successful electrification program by official say from IDA. That's another from the World Bank. He said one of the most important things we have learned from the past experience is that there is no single development mode. So no single level. That's the China's move to difference. That's why you need to say smart hydropower is increasing to be recognized as an important renewable energy solution to the challenge of remote area electrification. That's also why you need to say another. So that's we can review. Sustainable future. Scientific development brings development sustainable use. China's verb said 授人以鱼 不是授人以渔. It means give a man fish, he will have a meal. Teach him to fish, he will have a meal for all his life. So just my presentation this afternoon just give a story for China's rural electrification. Just give some indicators. Just one more, maybe not suit, absolute suit for your countries. To share Chinese past experience, successful experience capacity of small hydropower development and the rural electrification to solve problems and difficulties for mutual benefits and get the win-win situation. The renewable energy development will play a key role, and the south-to-south cooperation is really necessary. Still, really necessary. It's like the training course online with the pandemic, we can't in person on face-to-face, but still is useful, is needed. So China always attaches great importance to sustainable development. I hope to broaden technology to expand your horizon from this presentation to deep understanding the cost of Chinese experience of small hydropower based rural electrification. So China's rural electrification, the main contribution is from small hydropower development. It is called small hydropower based, but that's quite different with other countries. Also with the developed countries that passes the way. So from the objective of the United Nations SDG 7 is ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. for this target, small hydropower is a good option, I think. So let's share together for a shared future in hand with SDGs with the better and low energy population. Okay, thank you for your attention. That's all my presentation this afternoon.
So thank you very much for the brilliant presentation delivered by our Professor Zhao. And if you have any question, you can put forward in the chat box of the Zoom meeting room.
Yes, we send the PDF form the presentation after the meeting. 这是我们自己的。
And after each presentation, we will also share the slides of the presentation in our WhatsApp group, so you can have a review of what you have learned every day. And if you have any question about today's presentation, please feel free to put forward in the chat box.
Pergi sana.
So today, Professor Zhao have given us a very detailed introduction of the SHP development as well as the electrification in China. And he also introduces some the mechanisms, policies, as well as some technical features of SHP in China. And he also elaborated the challenges and the sustainable future of the SHP in China, and hope it will be a clue or the reference for the development of SHP and the rural electrification in your country. And also hope this you will find this presentation very informative and you will enjoy the presentation this afternoon. So if you have any further questions, you can type your question in the chat box and our professor will answer all the questions. Okay, so if you do not have any question, we just call it today and for this session. And if you have some questions after the presentation, you can also contact our professor maybe through the email. You can find all the contact information of our lecturer in the guide menu. So thank you.
Thank you.
Professor Zhao. And we will have a rest, and our next session will continue after 1 hour. That is 6 p.m. at Beijing time. So that's all for this session, and we will continue in 1 hour. So see you later.
Recording stopped.